Why are we locking these people up? Are we locking them up because they scare us? Or are we locking them up because they piss us off?
I'm surprised I'm still alive. The type of drugs I was dealing with, not only was I using them, I was selling them. I could have easily got me and my daughter killed. I was born in a domestic violence family, and I was left, in a hotel by my father at the age of 7, and I was very angry at the world. So I pretty much grew up really fast. At the age of 12, I found myself in a gang already. And I was doing a lot of gang banging. Something a lot of things a young lady is not supposed to do. I fought a lot. I, did a lot of bad things, and at the age of 17, I found myself in juvenile hall for a strong arm robbery, picking up my first strike. I was introduced to methamphetamine, and from there, it was a journey that it was a horrible journey. I thought I was on top of the world. I stopped gangbanging at that time because I put my focus more into drugs, selling drugs.
Overall, in my experience, it could go either way, how successful an individual is when their family's involved. It really depends on how healthy the family system is. I've seen families come to our programs here. They come to family visits. They do group therapy, family therapy, and you really see the family reconnecting and being this wonderfully supportive unit. I encourage all families to seek out a support system, other families going through the same process.
I married the drug dealer, and from there on, it was all bad. A year after that, I was arrested because I started doing a lot of federal fraud. From there, right after that, I was incarcerated. And when I was incarcerated, I didn't know that I had that strike from when I was a juvenile. So when they came and I said, I said, oh, they're going to let me out tomorrow, whatever, And public defender comes up to me and tells me, well, they're offering you 7 years. And I was just like, what? And he's like, yeah, well, you have a juvenile strike that you never got expunged. And it's for strong arm robbery, and this is robbery, what you're doing. I said, I can't do 7 years. I have my baby. I can't. I'm the only one that she has, Her father's living the same type of life I was living before, And I just, kept pushing forward. That's what my pastor always tells me. Keep pushing forward. Keep pushing forward. You're going to do it. Just keep going, keep going, keep going. And I just kept going. I kept going. I went to probation court, a court I was not even supposed to be going to. I don't know how I ended up there. And the judge tells me, Martinez, what are you doing in my courtroom again? And I was just like, I don't know. I didn't bring myself here, She goes, you know what? I'm giving you 375 days. Sign the papers and get out of my courtroom. And I was like, and he's like, sign the papers. She's giving you a year. And I was like, yes, I'll sign right now, But that's a whole year away from my daughter. But still, I took it.
I am trying to help my client with who are they and connecting them to resources, but the networks that they are up against aren't always willing to help them. And they're going for a job interview and they're getting rejected, even though they're well prepared and a good match for the job, purely based on the checkbox of prior conviction, or do you have a felony. Seeing the news stories, I'll read the newspaper in the morning and there will be a wonderful story about how a formerly incarcerated individual is doing wonderful things, and it's juxtaposed right next to an article on crime rates in Los Angeles increasing. And it's difficult to help our clients continue to feel positive about where they're going when they're up against society telling them that they should still be in prison, or that they still have these old behaviors. They're a convict. And helping clients see that they are more than that is a real challenge when they're being told this by many parts of our society.
I got out. Everything was horrible. I went back to drugs. My daughter was probably like a year or 2 years old, and I was no longer with her father. So with those $200 that I was given at the gate in prison, I rented a room for me and my daughter, and the only way I knew how to live was how to sell drugs and sell drugs and do drugs. I was still very angry. I still haven't. I didn't know how to live no other way than the way that I've always lived, was to sell drugs and do drugs. My family have no idea, because I kept it very, I was very distant from them. My daughter kept getting older. I kept doing things, I kept saying to myself, I got to provide for my daughter, I got to provide. So the only way I knew how to provide was to sell drugs and do drugs, like I said. I waited. I just kept going back to jail, leaving my daughter, ignoring my daughter, doing drugs while I was in the house. I don't know half of the way. I don't even know how I was even surviving, I'm surprised I never got my daughter taken away from me. She has gone through so much. She's gone through raids at my house, police coming, take me in, police giving me 5 minutes to call somebody that I know to pick her up, where I'm handcuffed and she's in between my legs and she's crying to me, telling me, Mom, what's happening? Da, 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 da. She's gone through so much, because of me. Well, my daughter her name is Chloe, and she's 10 years old. She holds that extra special part of my heart because she accepts me and she never throws nothing in my face.
My mom, sometimes, when she used to do her things in the past, sometimes she used to ignore me sometimes. When I tell her, she's like, leave me alone. And like she did a lot of like bad stuff, stuff that you can't do. We used to live in this house. I would call it the haunted house. And like a lot of things would happen there. I felt very sad because like I wish she never did this stuff. She would call me from the cops, and she would tell me that when she gets out, she wants to change her life. She didn't want to be in the stuff that she did.
There are several challenges our population faces when reintegrating into society. Part of those are internal, part of those are external. External challenges are probably easier to see and define. They're what you might guess: finding a job, getting medical care, reestablishing relationships with friends and families. Those we can all see. But the challenges that you don't see, that I have an opportunity to see in session, is the internal process for them. Who am I now? What do I do? Where is my self-esteem? These are all issues that they work on. They had an identity before they went to prison. They develop an identity of who they are in prison. Now they have new skills, new self-awareness. We're out in society. I've served my time. Now what do I do?
I was getting booked at Orange County Jail. I was in a very smelly room. A room that I had gone into so many times when I've been booked before. And I said, I don't want to do this no more. I'm tired. I'm tired of the feeling that I'm gonna get of this feeling that I get when I would always get in there, of desperation. All I would do when I was incarcerated would walk up and down my cell. You know, because the cell is all glass. I would go into IRC, that's why. It's 23-hour lockdown. The only time you get out is to shower. I wasn't privileged to be with all the other people, you know? Because they treat you like such a, they treated me like such a convict, you know? It was like, gosh, really? Like, you know, and I'm a pretty respectful person, you know? But, you know, I just sat there and I was surrounded by people on the floor that were strung out, that were hurting, lost, just like me. I wasn't any different than them. You know, I was just showered. That's it. You know, but I remember seeing my probation officer, and she didn't want to look at me. But now I realize why she didn't want to look at me. She didn't want to look at me because she has a heart. And she probably hurt for me and for my daughter, because she knows my daughter. And I'm telling her off, and I'm just like, how could you do this to me? How could you be so mean? It's like, she's just doing her job. That's all she's doing, is her job. And I stopped cussing her out. You know, I stopped cussing her out because I used to have a sailor's mouth, you know. And I just sat down, and it's cold in those rooms. It's very cold in those rooms. And I just sat back and I just said, this is it. I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm done. And now what I do, because of Project Kinship, I go and I speak to some young ladies at Ocean View High School, my friend Crystal. I'm going to read you guys a letter really quick that they wrote to me, because I speak to them and they say, "Dear Rosie, I appreciate you coming and talking to us girls. It opened up my eyes and gave me a better understanding of life and how I should live. I just want to let you guys know that kinship, that's the way to go. You know, transformation, I am the transformation." a way to get out of it, because if I got out of it, my only thing is you're gonna have to want to get out of it. And there's gotta be that relationship, and there's gotta be love.